Hello, and welcome back to College Disc Golf News, your final recap of 2025. I'm your host, Nick Inns, bringing you everything that happened this past weekend, and it's just a couple of things to talk about. There are some other news that I'll have that'll probably come out later, discussing some stuff for 2026, some scheduled previews and stuff. I'm hopefully also going to try and put together some podcasts with people within the college disc golf realm, but there's a lot going on in my life right now. I'm graduating, I've got a move coming up, so might be a little sporadic with content for the next little bit, but I'll try and do as much as I can when I can. So just be on the lookout for it. It might be on random days. You never know. It won't be on my usual Tuesday, Friday schedule as I'm doing right now. But I'll keep you guys in the loop, and make sure you guys also stay in the loop by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, hit the little bell so that way you're always getting notified of when I'm posting. Also, down below in the description and in the pinned comment, there's going to be a survey, a college disc golf news survey for podcasts that I'm doing. It's just a fun little thing that I'm doing. If you have it doesn't even take that long. There's a few questions, maybe like 5 minutes. So take some time, fill it out, and hopefully it'll be helpful in the future. Give your honest opinions, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this weekend with the Texas Collegiate Championship. So, just to give a little bit of recap, I had predicted Texas A&M winning at 36, then Oklahoma Christian at 33. Then I had North Texas taking the bid over Texas Tech just by one stroke, and then UMHB, Mary Hardin Baylor coming in fifth. And I was kind of on the money a little bit, but we'll kind of get into what happened, the storyline for this weekend at the Texas Collegiate Regional for D1. So, just to put it all in perspective, I talked last week about this course, and as you're seeing, it is shorter. Now, shorter doesn't necessarily mean easier. There are a lot of tight gaps, but for the most part, I was talking there's 5 holes that are pretty difficult that I would say, man, that's going to be a tough get for birdie. Then I was saying 13 is a very reasonable. There's 13 holes that are very reasonable to get. Doesn't mean you're going to get every single one in a round, but there's 13 that I expected a lot of guys to be getting out on this course. Now, when it came down to D1 singles, we had Texas A&M taking that team dub. They looked really, really well. Asher Mueller ended up taking down singles at 9 down over Keegan Hopt in a couple hole playoff. Then you had all the Texas A&M guys right back to back. Noah Johnson, Hatcher Mason, Reese Peterson. 8 down, 7 down, 6 down, taking down that top 5. It was going to be really difficult for the other teams to come back from the lead they had. It was a couple stroke lead, and this is a course that's going to be very attackable and scoreable for them. But, Oklahoma Christian, they held their own. Landon Clark at 5 down, Elijah Cleary at 5 down. You also had Colton Webb at 3 down. The lone people in the top 10 that weren't in the Texas A&M or Oklahoma Christian teams was Garrison Lane at 5 down from Texas Tech and Brett Shadrick from University of North Texas. So with all that in mind, what you had going into the round 2 was Texas A&M at 7 down, Oklahoma Christian at 5 down, North Texas at 1 down, tied with Texas Tech at 1 down. I know those teams were going to be close. And UMHB at 4 over. Going to be difficult. They were a little out of it when it came to singles, at least. But round 2, I mean, this course is so attackable, anything can happen. And that is exactly what happened. We had a lot of chaos going into round 2 for that final round. Oklahoma Christian ends up taking the lead. They went 15 down, only 3 pars on the day. Hole 5, of course, was one of those holes I was talking about. It's difficult to get. Hole 9, 400-foot par 3, and they missed the birdieable hole 18. But Texas A&M had a lot more pars. They only had 12 down, and they were just missing some of those bonus birdies that Oklahoma Christian were really picking up. Now, in the bottom, in the that fight for that third bid, UMHB came out of nowhere and they had a bet around than Texas A&M. They went 13 down. Really impressive stuff for them. They have 3 800 rated players in their team, not lower, higher 800s, of course. And they played really well. I was really shocked when I looked at the score going into Sunday. I was like, wow, UMHB playing really well together. North Texas had a 9 down round, and Texas Tech, man, had a bunch of pars. They parred out for a lot of it. Were able to pick it up on the back nine, but it was going to be a lot to overcome. 2 strokes on this course, and again, as I was saying, it's so attackable. And if they came out hot and they're playing better as a team, could be anybody's game going into Saturday. Well, Texas A&M, they learned from their mistakes. They played really well. They shot 16 down, shut the door on Oklahoma Christian. They birdied from 5 to 15. That is, yeah, that's right, 10 holes in a row, only 2 pars on the day. And they were very close to having a really great round out here. Oklahoma Christian, they didn't play bad. I mean, they shot 13, only 2 less birdies picking up, but it was too much. Hatcher Mason, Noah Johnson, Ash Mueller, and Reese Peterson playing well together, able to take the win. Now, let's talk about the bottom 3 in these top 5. This was going to be difficult, all right? This was anybody's game to come out today. University of North Texas had the lead, and they shot 12 down, a really solid round. But Texas Tech, man, they came out. They shot 14 down with an eagle. I mean, they needed every bit of that eagle to come back and get back into this one and forced it to a playoff. UMHB, they had an 11 down round. They were playing really solid, but they just didn't have enough steam coming out of singles. They really need to play better there. And the sad part is, for a lot of these teams, they could have easily earned a D2 bid. They were all playing the same layout, but they all decided to play D1. And, the closest regional to them after this is going to be the Mid-South, or if they're going to go all the way to LSU or Alabama. And those have a lot less bids and a lot more competition, especially for the Missouri Conference teams and a lot of Southeast teams that can't make it out to a lot of these other regionals. It's going to be really difficult for them. So this playoff absolutely mattered. It absolutely mattered. This was going to be do or die. You had to play your best. I mean, I'm sure this was nerve-wracking. And after a couple holes, North Texas ends up losing. The team I predicted to get that bid, Texas Tech, man, even though they didn't play the best at Rocky Mountain, man, in Texas, they've been playing really well. So shout out Texas Tech. The Red Raiders take down the bid on the second hole of the playoff. Congrats to them. Heartbreak for University of North Texas. Good news for them is that they are a lot closer than the rest of these teams to some of those other regionals, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully. Maybe I'm not. Do I know geography well enough? Let me look it up real quick. North Texas. Where is it at? Denton. Where the heck is Denton? Oh, it's DFW. It's hardly. I thought it was going to be like in Amarillo or something. No, they can probably get to a lot of those other regionals as well, especially going over towards Missouri. So hopefully they can play some of those other ones. But man, absolute heartbreak for North Texas and UMHB, who played well enough to receive a bid. And if only they played in D2, they could have got one. But something I do want to talk about that I just learned about, and you may hear me make light of like, oh, these teams, maybe they can't play, they should be playing D2, But fun fact about club budgets. Club budgets are really weird for a lot of sports teams, right? Especially at these major universities. And a lot of athletics, especially even disc golf, as a result of names like D1, D2, the clubs have to compete at the highest level with their best players. Sometimes it doesn't, like their D1 team cannot go play D2. Or they won't receive money or travel expenses to go to there, right? They have to compete at the highest level no matter what. Otherwise, they don't receive money, which is kind of a shame. I understand that must stink for anybody who plays D1 and isn't able to, maybe their guys on their team clearly they're not going to win anything, and they have a better shot in D2 or even D3, but because of that, because of the way their budget works, like they have to compete in D1, and they may not make it to nationals in the place they want it to, or even if you even think about it, like they could not receive funding to go to nationals because it's called Division 3, which sucks because nationals is one of the best college disc golf events, one of the best disc golf events of the year, and so that is just completely unfair. It's hard to say, like, revising the name system for college disc golf because it really makes sense for their perspective, but also it kind of sucks for those who want to play disc golf just as a club and have fun, and maybe they're not the most competitive team. They don't have a Anthony Anselmo. They don't have a Jesse Longenecker. And so they just have to go out and get their butts beat by all these guys who are way higher rated than them, and they can't do anything about it. So just something that I've learned that's kind of crazy to think about. I go to a private school. We can play wherever we want, do whatever we want. And so, man, I feel for y'all at public schools and the budgets that are over there, and it stinks. That is never any fun. So that's the nature of public universities. They have to have a reason for giving this money. They have to compete at the highest level, quote unquote, and man, that just sucks. So I was talking to the guy in one of the comments of the last video. Shout out to Frisbee Mike. Thanks for your comments. And yeah, the predictions that I do, just to give some clarification, while I did get spot on one away for Texas A&M, I did pretty well there. The rest of my predictions in terms of score are pretty far off, and that's a fair thing to say, fair criticism. But I do feel kind of weird, right? And here is my reasoning behind it, and trying to find a better way to do it. And so I do really well usually at kind of hitting that upper end. Texas A&M was 35. I hit Oklahoma Christian right on the money at 33. And I want to be fair to like North Texas, Texas Tech, and UMHB. And I really feel weird of like trying to say, I know these guys only have 950 rated players, and they're probably, for the most part, third place to second place is usually, for the most part, at some of these smaller regionals, like they could be, they were 10 strokes off. A lot of guys can be even farther off from these top guys. I mean, you've got 4 guys at Texas A&M who are all 900 to 1,000, or high 990s to 1,000. And you've got the rest of the guys who their highest player is like 960. And that's 2 strokes. And if you compound that over, an entire time, really it's like, they're probably 8 to 10 strokes under. And that's what under the other 2 teams, which is exactly what happened. Where Texas Tech, North Texas, and UMHB are more, 12 to 15 strokes behind. And I would rather put 5th place, 10 strokes behind than put all of those teams 10 to 12 strokes behind. Mostly because it just feels weird to like say, yeah, you as a team are 15 strokes behind. It seems a little disrespectful in my opinion. And also, disc golf, it can be a sport that has a lot more variability when it comes to scores. And so I would rather pick teams a little bit more closer together. And even Texas collegiate regionals, I picked teams way farther apart than I do at other regionals. But it seems a little weird to try and like predict every single score. I usually try to hit the top end and then the bottom end, even if I'm a bunch of strokes off. At the end of it, I just you take the L. It looks a little silly, but I'm mostly kind of trying to reach the top end. Trying to predict the bottom end or even singles is very difficult, and so I want to put that in there as well. Predictions aren't easy. Don't take them lightly. I would rather give respect to the highest they could reach rather than what I feel like their average is overall. But speaking of predictions, let's go ahead and talk about D2. This one was a little bit more cut and dry for me at the top. You had Texas A&M B team. They were predicted to do 29. Then I had Baylor coming in second at 26. Then Oklahoma Baptist with 24 down. Texas A&M C team at 22. Then Oklahoma Christian at 5th place with 20 down. But this one, yeah, definitely a little bit more off on. They're definitely more. A lot of these guys are definitely more on some D2 squads. Not to mean that in a bad way at all, as someone who plays on D team. No disrespect at all to anybody who is on B team. But they're not being able to hit, those upper level of double digits. A lot of these guys were able to hit, kind of that lower end of that. And they were playing pretty good on singles. Aaron Bazell, who I had ranked, in the top 10, would have been my pick to win D2 for when the D2 singles, ends up pulling it out, looking really good, really solid. He's 920 rated, but don't let that fool you. Playing super solid, 5 down. That's a 981 rated round, 60 points above his rating. Contracts to Aaron for hitting that. Hayden Duncan of OBU was at 5 down, and then again, Texas A&M, they play really good in Texas. They have been so solid this year. Avi Kumar and Camden Perry both at 3 down, and then Mason Drake shot even up there. You had 2 Baylor Bears in the top 10. Ryan Prell at 2 down, Jake Webb at 1 over. A couple of Oklahoma Christian Eagles in the top 10. Jaden Fowler tied for 5th at 2 down, and Abraham Shoemaker at even. Then you had a UMHB. You had Mary Hardin Baylor up there. Ben Clark even. So a little bit of kind of a large spectrum. Singles kind of kept everything together for a lot of these upper teams. LSU and UMHB, they're newer teams. A lot of their guys, they got some 700 rated guys there. They both shot 12 over after singles. And then you had these top 5 teams who I predicted: OBU, Baylor, Oklahoma Christian, and Texas A&M. They were all within 3 strokes of each other. Texas A&M B team at even, Texas A&M C team at 1 over, OBU 2 over. Then you had Baylor at 3 over and Oklahoma Christian at 2 over. So I was like, oh, I'm a little scared. Maybe OBU is going to be a lot better than I thought. But come out round 2, and they had really. Baylor had really separated themselves from everybody else. Teams round-wise, this team is really good together. They shot the hot round for D2 at 11 down, bringing their total at 8 down. But Texas A&M had a solid 10 down round. They stayed at 10 down. Texas A&M's C team stayed at 6 down. Oklahoma Christian is making a run, but they're still 3 strokes behind Baylor and after round 2. And Oklahoma Baptist, man, they just didn't have enough firepower, enough steam in round 2. They only got the 1. Shout out Sage Deal, though, in LSU, hitting an ace during the team round on hole 18 on the island hole. Congrats to him. That is super fun. Always a dream to hit an ace during tournament. So going ahead and jumping to kind of the results of the Texas Collegiates, you kind of already know where this is going. Texas A&M, man, they're just really good. They're really solid. They were able to score another really solid 12 down round in the final round. That was with an ace on the hole 3. The hole 3 there, the par 3, 150 feet, 15. That's kind of almost a pitch and putt kind of score, but it's still a tough hole. A lot of gaps to hit. This is 12 down with 2 bogeys. They hit the ace on 15 and followed up with a bogey, which honestly understandable. When you hit a shot like that, hit an ace in tournament, it's difficult to kind of come back from. But they were so far ahead, it didn't really matter. Baylor, had a pretty all right round. They also had a couple bogeys, but ended up having a 6 down round. But Oklahoma Christian, Oklahoma Baptist, again, they just didn't have enough firepower to really make a run at getting that D2 bid, and Baylor ends up taking it down, so congrats to them for an impressive D2 bid. Going to see them at Nationals, excited to see them there. And shout out to Texas A&M C team, they're also looking good, poised for a good D3 run, so be on the lookout for them as well. And man, even though there was only one event this weekend, truly like a real conference event, there has to be 3 teams, I think, to even count for conference events as right now. Don't quote me on that. I think I saw that on the website or the TD manual, but I could be wrong on that. Someone let me know in the comments. I could be totally wrong. So sorry about that. But for those conference events, we had a couple of them that just didn't have a lot of people there. CCU and Gardner-Webb ended up having a battle over there, a little scrimmage, and at their new course, their 10th course. So shout out Coastal Carolina for doing that. Coastal Carolina ends up destroying Gardner-Webb pretty easily, handily. Shout out to them, but the Gardner-Webb is kind of a newer program, so no slouch to Gardner-Webb at all for losing to a good team in Coastal Carolina. But that is going to do it. Mississippi State, I didn't see anything out of them. No posts talking about their event, so I don't know if it happened or not. So if it did, somebody let me know. But unfortunately, I just don't have any information on that. That is going to do it. Still plenty to talk about. Still had a 20-minute video out of just one regional with a lot going on during the week. So make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe. Again, down in the comments, I've got the CDG News survey. Make sure you fill that out. Thank you for those who have already filled it out. And yeah, I'm excited to continue talking and covering college disc golf. I should have a little tidbit about some players, some information about players that are not going to be playing in the spring. Some very notable players. If you don't already know, you haven't already seen, I'll be putting out something really soon about that. So make sure you keep up with that and stay subscribed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.